Welcome to this lesson on decimal operations and place value. Decimals appear throughout the LANTITE, from interpreting data to solving word problems involving money and measurement. In this lesson, we'll build a solid understanding of how decimals work and how to perform all four operations with them confidently. By the end of this lesson, you'll understand how decimal place value works from tenths down to thousandths. You'll be able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide decimals. You'll know how to round decimals to any required number of places, and you'll be able to compare and order decimals confidently. These skills are essential for the LANTITE and for everyday numeracy in the classroom. Let's start with decimal place value. The decimal point separates whole number parts from fractional parts. To the left of the decimal point, we have ones, tens, hundredths, and so on. To the right, we have tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. Each place to the right is 1/10 of the previous place. So, just as hundreds are 10 times tens, tenths are 10 times hundredths. Look at the number 45.273. The 4 is worth 40, the 5 is worth 5. After the decimal point, the 2 represents 2/10ths, the 7 represents 7/100ths, and the 3 represents 3/1000ths. To compare decimals, line up the decimal points and compare digit by digit from left to right. A really useful trick is to add trailing zeros so both numbers have the same number of decimal places. This doesn't change the value at all. 0.5 is exactly the same as 0.50. Let's try an example. Which is larger, 0.38 or 0.4? Rewrite 0.4 as 0.40. Now compare the tenths. 3 is less than 4, so 0.38 is smaller. For ordering, rewrite 2.15, 2.1, and 2.105, all with 3 decimal places. Then, it's clear the order from smallest is 2.1, 2.105, 2.15. Adding and subtracting decimals follows one golden rule. Line up the decimal points. Write the numbers vertically, with the decimal points directly above each other. If the numbers have different numbers of decimal places, add trailing zeros to fill in the gaps. Then add or subtract column by column from right to left, just like with whole numbers. Finally, bring the decimal point straight down into your answer. The most common mistake students make is lining up the last digits rather than the decimal points. For example, 12.5 plus 3.27, the 5 and the 7 are not in the same column. The 5 is in the tenths place and the 7 is in the hundredths place. Let's work through a word problem. A teacher buys supplies costing $14.75, $8.40, and $3.09 for stickers. We need to find the total. First, set up the numbers vertically with decimal points aligned. Now, add from right to left. Hundredths column, 5 plus 0 plus 9 is 14, right 4, carry 1. Tenths column, 7 plus 4 plus 0 plus the carried 1 is 12, right 2, carry 1. Ones column, 4 plus 8 plus 3 plus the carried 1 is 16, right 6, carry 1. Tenths column, 1 plus the carried 1 is 2. The total cost is $26.24. Now, a subtraction example. A student has a piece of ribbon that is 3.2 meters long and cuts off 1.85 meters. How much is left? First, write 3.2 as 3.20, so both numbers have 2 decimal places. Now, subtract from right to left. Hundredths, 0 minus 5. We can't do that, so borrow from the tenths. 10 minus 5 is 5. 1 minus 8 borrow again. 11 minus 8 is 3. Ones, we had 3, borrowed 1, leaving 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. The answer is 1.35 meters of ribbon remaining. For multiplying decimals, here's the method. First, ignore the decimal points entirely and multiply as if you had whole numbers. Second, count the total number of decimal places in both numbers you're multiplying. Third, place the decimal point in your answer so it has that total number of decimal places. Why does this work? Think of it this way. 2.4 is 24 divided by 10. 1.3 is 13 divided by 10. 24 times 13 is 312. Divide by 10 twice. That's dividing by 100, gives 3.12. 1 decimal place plus 1 decimal place equals 2 decimal places in the answer. Let's multiply 2.4 by 1.35, finding the area of a classroom mat. First, ignore the decimals and multiply 24 by 135. 24 times 100 is 2,400. 24 times 35 is 840. Add those together, 3,240. Now, count the decimal places. 2.4 has 1 decimal place. 1.35 has 2 decimal places. That's 3 total. So place the decimal point 3 places from the right in 3,240, giving 3.240, which is 3.24. Always do a sense check. Roughly 2 times 1.5 is 3, and our answer of 3.24 is close. The area is 3.24 square meters. For dividing decimals, the key strategy is to make the divisor number you're dividing by a whole number. If you're already dividing by a whole number, just divide normally and bring the decimal point straight up into your answer. For example, 6.48 divided by 3. 3 goes into 6 twice. 3 goes into 4 once with a remainder. 3 goes into 18 6 times. The answer is 2.16. If the divisor is a decimal, multiply both numbers by 10 or 100, or whatever power of 10 makes the divisor whole. For example, 7.2 divided by 0.4, multiply both by 10 to get 72 divided by 4, which is 18. This works because multiplying both parts of a division by the same number creates an equivalent division. Here's a division word problem. A piece of wood that is 2.76 meters long is cut into pieces of 0.12 meters each. How many pieces do we get? Set up 2.76 divided by 0.12. The divisor has 2 decimal places, so multiply both by 100. That gives us 276 divided by 12. 12 times 20 is 240, with a remainder of 36. 12 times 3 is 36. So, 276 divided by 12 is 23. There are 23 pieces of wood. Rounding decimals works just like rounding whole numbers. Find the digit in the place you're rounding to. Look one place to the right, and if that digit is 5 or more, round up. If it's 4 or less, keep the rounding digit the same. Then drop everything after it. Let's look at the examples on screen. 3.847 rounded to 1 decimal place. The tenths digit is 8. The decision digit is 4, which is less than 5, so it stays as 3.8. To 2 decimal places, the hundredths digit is 4, the decision digit is 7, so round up to 3.85. 12.695 to 2 decimal places. The decision digit is 5, so round up 69 becomes 70, giving 12.70. And 0.0483 to 2 decimal places. The hundredths digit is 4, the decision digit is 8, so round up to 0.05. Now it's your turn to practice. Pause the video and try these 6 problems. Problem 1. Add 7.65 and 3.8. Problem 2. Subtract 2.45 from 10.3. Problem 3. Multiply 0.6 by 1.4. Problem 4. Divide 4.5 by 0.15. Problem 5. Round 8.347 to 1 decimal place. Problem 6. Order these from smallest to largest 0.5, 0.48, and 0.51. Check your answers on screen when you're ready. Let's recap the key ideas. Decimal place value extends our number system to the right of the decimal point tenths, hundredths, thousandths, with each place worth 1/10 of the one to its left. To compare decimals, add trailing zeros and compare digit by digit. For adding and subtracting, always line up the decimal points. For multiplying, ignore the decimals, multiply as whole numbers, then count the total decimal places in both factors to place the decimal point. For dividing, make the divisor a whole number by multiplying both numbers by the same power of 10. And for rounding, use the same rule as whole numbers. Look one place to the right of where you're rounding. These skills will come up repeatedly on the LANTITE, so make sure you're confident with each one before moving on.